Blacktop Saturday. What I'm about to tell you happened on a Saturday. One damn Saturday. Not a month. Not a summer. Not one of those stories where everything slowly falls apart. I'm talking about one day. I woke up that morning thinking my biggest problem was a job interview at 3 o'clock. By midnight, my cousin owed dangerous people money, a neighborhood scam got exposed, a corner store was fighting demolition, and a man who'd spent years pretending he cared about our community got exposed in front of everybody. That's Detroit for you. 1 minute you're worried about bills. The next minute, you're accidentally helping start a neighborhood uprising. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. I was 24 and living with my grandma Jackie on Detroit's east side. And before you say anything, trust me, that wasn't exactly part of my life plan. The economy in 2026 was kicking everybody's ass. People with degrees couldn't find jobs. People with jobs needed 2 more jobs. Rent kept going up. Groceries cost so much that every trip to the store felt like a robbery, where they politely handed you a receipt afterward. Everybody online kept talking about hustle culture. I was tired of hearing that shit. We weren't hustling. We were surviving. There's a difference. Grinding sounds like you got options. Most people I knew were just trying not to drown. That morning, Grandma Jackie was already in the kitchen frying potatoes when I came downstairs. The smell alone could have solved world conflicts. Before I even grabbed a plate, she started in on me. "Nia, don't forget you got that interview today." "I know." "You said that last week, too." I rolled my eyes. "Grandma, I'm going." "You better. DTE don't take excuses." That woman could somehow connect every conversation back to a utility bill. I swear she could watch the Super Bowl and turn it into a lecture about energy conservation. After breakfast, I took the trash outside. The second I stepped onto the porch, I knew something was wrong. The whole neighborhood felt loud. Not normal loud. Something happened loud. People were gathered outside Mr. Kareem's corner store. Old folks, kids. People still wearing pajama pants. I walked down there and saw a bright orange demolition notice taped to the building. My stomach dropped. Now, if you're not from around here, maybe that doesn't sound important. But Mr. Kareem's wasn't just a store. That place was part of the neighborhood. People bought groceries there when they couldn't make it to the supermarket. Kids bought chips there after school. Parents borrowed $20 from Mr. Kareem when times got rough. Seeing that notice felt like somebody had put a death certificate on the building. Naturally, everybody was pissed. Some blamed the city. Some blamed crime. Some blamed developers. My friend Marcus blamed everybody. Marcus was sitting across the street drinking iced tea like a retired grandfather. "Told y'all something shady was happening." You say that every damn day. Because every damn day, something shady happens. The annoying part was that sometimes Marcus was right. At the time, though, I had bigger problems, like finding a job. A few hours later, my cousin Jalen showed up looking like somebody had informed him the apocalypse was scheduled for noon. Soon as I saw his face, I knew trouble had arrived. "What happened?" "Nothing." "Jalen?" Still nothing. Then he sighed. "I messed up." Nobody ever says that before good news. I immediately got nervous. "How bad?" He stared at the ground. "I owe $3,000. I thought I'd heard him wrong. "You owe who $3,000? Then he said a name I'd been hearing more and more lately. Deshaun Briggs. Now looking back, Deshaun was exactly the type of dude Detroit creates every few years. A guy gets a little money, buys an expensive truck, starts posting motivational quotes online. talks about ownership and investments every 5 minutes. Suddenly, everybody acts like he's Warren Buffett from 7 Mile. Nobody asks questions. They just see success. According to Jalen, Deshaun convinced him and several other young people to invest in some crypto property development opportunity. Supposedly, everybody was going to get rich. Instead, the money disappeared. Funny how that works. The profits vanish, the debt stays. Now Jalen owed $3,000 to people who wanted their money back immediately. I stared at him. You borrowed money to invest in crypto? He looked away. That told me everything. Jalen, that's some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I thought it would work. Obviously the fuck not. From that moment on, my entire day changed. The interview stopped mattering. Everything stopped mattering. Because now my cousin had a target on his back. And I had no idea how I was supposed to help him. The next few hours were chaos. Everybody had advice. Nobody had money. One dude suggested sports betting. Another tried explaining cryptocurrency to me for 45 straight minutes. A woman selling dinners from her porch offered Jalen part-time work. Nothing solved the actual problem. Then around 3 o'clock, I realized I'd completely missed my interview. Gone. Months of applications. Months of rejection. Gone. I sat outside Mr. Kareem's store feeling sick. That's when I heard gunshots. Not close. A few blocks away. But close enough. The entire street went quiet. Everybody listened, waited. Then life continued. That's the part that bothered me most. How normal it had become. Kids learned the difference between fireworks and gunshots before they learned algebra. Nobody should get used to that. But somehow, we did. A little later, Mr. Kareem came outside carrying 2 bottles of water. He handed one to me. For a while, we just watched traffic. Then he finally said it. They've been trying to force me out. I looked over. Who? Developers. And suddenly things started connecting. Property purchases, pressure on homeowners, the demolition notice, rumors, threats. Everything seemed tied together. And somehow Deshaun's name kept appearing. That was the moment I got angry. Not regular angry. The kind of angry that settles deep. Because Deshaun wasn't just stealing money. He was helping outsiders buy up pieces of the neighborhood while pretending to be one of us. And if there was one thing I couldn't stand, it was somebody getting rich by screwing over people who trusted them. So I decided I wanted revenge. Not stupid revenge, not violent revenge. I wanted the truth. I wanted everybody to know exactly who Deshaun Briggs really was. That's when Marcus got involved. And if you've never watched a bunch of Detroit residents turn into detectives overnight, let me tell you something. That shit is hilarious. Everybody suddenly thought they was Detective Benson from SVU. People were taking screenshots, zooming into blurry security footage, creating timelines, connecting dots. One lady was convinced she'd solved everything because she recognized somebody's shoes in a video. Marcus was the worst. That man took the investigation way too seriously. He bought a notebook. A notebook. The last time I saw Marcus voluntarily write something down was in high school. Now suddenly, he was interviewing people and collecting evidence. By evening, he'd written so many notes he looked like he was building a murder board. This man had arrows. Actual arrows. The scary part wasn't that Marcus bought a notebook. The scary part was that he was organized. But somehow his ridiculous detective phase actually worked. We found old videos, screenshots, messages, stories from homeowners. Evidence started piling up. Turns out Deshaun had been pressuring people to sell property. He'd helped spread threats. He'd lied about investments. The whole thing was built on manipulation. And once people realized they weren't alone, they started talking. One story became 5, 5 became 10. By sunset, Deshawn's perfect image was hanging together with duct tape and prayer. Then the SUVs arrived. The men looking for Jalen had finally come. Doors opened. The street went quiet. I honestly thought things might get ugly. Instead, something happened I'll never forget. Porch lights came on, one by one. Then people stepped outside. Grandparents, parents, workers, neighbors. Mr. Kareem, my grandma, half the damn block. Nobody came looking for a fight. They came because they were tired. Tired of being scared. Tired of being manipulated. Tired of watching people profit from their struggles. When Deshawn showed up, he probably expected another easy day. Instead, he walked into a community waiting for answers. And for the first time in his life, nobody was impressed by him. Not the truck, not the clothes, not the money, nothing. We played the recordings, showed the screenshots, shared the stories, and one by one, people started speaking up. The crazy thing is, if Deshawn had just left people alone, none of this would have happened. But greedy people always think they're the smartest person in the room. That's usually when they screw up. By the end of the night, the whole scam had collapsed. People he'd manipulated turned against him. Business partners disappeared. The men demanding money from Jalen realized they'd been lied to, too. Everything started unraveling. I thought I'd feel happy. Maybe I did for a second. But mostly, I felt relieved. For months, people had been scared of him. Then, all at once, he wasn't scary anymore. He was just another liar who finally got caught. The funniest part? Right after everything settled down, my phone rang. It was the company I missed the interview with. Turns out, somebody had posted videos from the neighborhood meeting. The hiring manager saw me speaking, saw me organizing people, saw me refusing to back down. They wanted to reschedule. I sat there holding the phone while my grandma smiled like she'd known all along. Across the street, Marcus raised a bottle in celebration. The neighborhood wasn't fixed. The economy was still rough. Violence was still out there. Tomorrow would bring new problems. Detroit always does. But that night felt different. Because for one evening, the people on our block remembered something important. Nobody was coming to save us. So we saved each other. And honestly, that's probably the most Detroit thing I've ever seen.